All right. Welcome to the Brighton and Buddy show.
This is Brighton,
And I'm Buddy.
and today we are talking about the dodecagon, tensegrity, Buckminster Fuller, and all Matrix magical stuff.
And what got us focused on this conversation or this topic here is really analyzing the fulcrum or the 0 point along the center, which could be considered hollow or stillness or nothingness. And so we're going to go without further ado to see where Brighton takes us into this magical kingdom.
Now, you know there's a large difference between a frustum and a fulcrum, although
I don't
there's a
even know.
similarity.
Yeah, okay, I don't even know what a frustum is, but I know what a fulcrum is. You were showing me somewhat.
Yeah. So a frustum, if you're looking outside of your eye, the frustum is the rectangle or cone or whatever pyramid that you want that is looking out.
Okay.
And so that's the frustum, and the truncated end of the pyramid, that's the frustum, the whole frustum, the vision, the scope. Now, but it works in a similar fashion to a fulcrum, where you have the fulcrum at the end, and then you have this, you have the frustum, and you can actually move a frustum, or you can move the angles of a frustum down and in and out. I've actually diagrammed a video of this, and I'm calling it bipyramidal genuflection, which is a hell of a term. Genuflection means to bend your knee, or, to bend, which is an anatomical term.
Okay.
I think I'll pull it right up. But it has to do with the, actually first, I'll pull it up right here. So this started with the octahedron, and the shape, it starts to morph into a truncated octahedron. And it keeps morphing and morphing over the same morphogenesis pattern until it becomes a cuboctahedron. And this whole entire composition is morphing through the same mechanic, which is just elongating that apex like a square. And these are the frustums.
Okay, so it's moving along the axis, like the axially aligned.
That shows it right there. What's going on?
Yes, and there's a breathing or an expansion along. Yep.
Yes. Okay. Now, there's a certain morphing of honeycombs and space-filling geometry. Up here, you can see how they all nest inside of each other. The octahedron, this is the octahedron, cuboctahedron, and truncated octahedron, all inside of each other. Yeah.
Gorgeous.
But they work together in a honeycomb. So this is the cuboctahedral, and it's made out of cuboctahedrons and octahedrons. And then, of course, it begins to morph through the same pattern, which I've started from red to blue. And, the reds are coming in, which are the, they are the rarefaction or the release of energy. And then the blue is the building of energy when it's growing.
Okay.
And this is the cuboctahedral, which is composed out of one truncated octahedron, pardon me, not cuboctahedral, truncated octahedral in green. And then it starts to morph again back into the cuboctahedral, which you can see here. And, well, the crazy thing about that, let's see if I can pull this back up. Oh, geez. I'm not sure how to do this quite. Yeah, there we go. Stop sharing. Okay. So you have a truncated octahedron, which is just an octahedron. You can kind of see how this would elongated be an octahedron. And then you truncate the ends. So the square is truncated, the octahedron.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a truncated tetrahedron. And it shows how they fill space together, which here you have two hexagons fit perfectly. And this is made out of the Doherty set. So
yeah. Doherty skin right there.
Oh, yeah. Now, between here, if we put 4 of these tetrahedrons, truncated tetrahedrons around there, this space right here is going to be no, that was right. Yeah. A cube octahedron. I haven't diagrammed it yet, but it's going to be a cube octahedron.
Nested right inside there.
Yes. And then how this is flat, it's like hexagon tiling, basic hexagon tiling, and you can see how that hexagon tiling would carry onwards.
Okay.
But I realized just this evening that if we turn this tiling so that this, instead of being where there's a triangle meets square like that, we turn it to hexagon meets square. Yeah. And it becomes a completely different tiling. I'm not quite sure what it is yet, but I'm going to have to explore that. I'm excited to. I'm not even sure if it's been discovered. So, this whole field of honeycombs is all new.
That's great. I'm glad you're on this mission, this honeycomb mission for us, man, because this is important. And honeycomb, he keeps using the term honeycomb. Brighton keeps using the term. Because that's what the term means is that they're space filling. Yeah,
oh yeah.
Right. So it's not just like it's just a hexagon pattern, because I know a lot of people, like including me, thought that he was just saying honeycomb like a hexagon, but it means a space filling pattern. A honeycomb is that, right?
Yes, it's a space-filling pattern. There's second-dimensional tiling, which is just space-fill tiling or Archimedean tiling with regular polygons. But then there's honeycombs, which use regular polygons, but they fill space. And a very basic way to do that is with prisms, like a hexagonal prism, if you know what I'm saying, which is what a regular, like a beehive is hexagonal prisms.
Yeah.
And then they fill the space.
Yeah,
but
and geology, it does that as well.
Yeah. Now, with the other honeycombs, it's using regular prisms. So in the case of the honeycomb, the actual honeycomb, bee honeycomb, the sides of the prism would have to be square, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Or it would have to be like an anti-prism with triangles going up and down, reverse polarity.
So show us some more. Show us about going into these along the lines here. You built a grid and a set.
Yes, I had a dream. I saw it. I saw how this is your work, mm-hmm. and this is the. You want to tell us quite what these are in parallel projection?
Yeah, it is a parallel projection, but it's ultimately the same thing that we're going to be talking about today.
Mm-hmm.
This is the topic. Going along the fulcrum here and showing the nodes of light and the size of the oscillation of showing how it mirrors itself as light refracts. Because this is like one foliation, one cycle leading into another cycle of light. And right there at that yellow spot, if you twist the top and the bottom of this, it opens up. Yeah, that red spot opens up into a wormhole or like a tunnel. So
so it's like a Z-pinch.
It is a Z-pinch right there.
Okay.
There's a Z-pinch right there. And if you were
to
twist...
are also not just bipyramids, but they're or bicones, but they're toroidal. They're actually spherical and more toroidal as well.
Yes. This is the Doherty set. This is literally, I took the circles, circle for circle, and cut them out, and then put them out on a line. I threaded them onto threaded rod, and I have kits of these that I made from 10 years ago, and I have them right. I just walked past them, and I'm gonna make some more. And then I put some, I designed it so that I could put string through it. This was before I even knew what string art was, that it was a thing, and I created this, and by accident, at the center of the big spoke wheel, see the big wheel?
Yes.
At the center of that, if you could put your mouse, yeah, right there, that broke, like the epoxy that I used right at the center of that. It was, yeah. Anyway, the glue had stopped working, so it spun, and I would have never known that had it not stopped working correctly, because it opened up, and the way that I strung it perfectly, line for line in a grid, it opened up into a wormhole, which is a Z pinch right there where that red dot is at my cheek. And it blew my mind that the mechanics of it are not near the hole. The mechanics of this are not near the hole. It's way out here at the boundary condition. And out on this boundary condition is like the sun, or the solar magnetosphere, and but would I mean it, because everything has a boundary condition. So what I'm saying is it has a skin, and everything has a skin and an outside, and there's a tension to it. But anyway, so yeah, this is a sculpture that I made, and it shows a smaller wave cycle going into the next next amplitude of wave cycle, so one octave into the next.
Okay. Now, when I'm talking about frustums, you can see how this red dot at your cheek is the apex of the frustum.
Mm-hmm.
And then the large circle here, which I've diagrammed the radius with this red line.
Okay.
This is like the base of the frustum. And so a bifrustum or bipyramid is two of those together.
Okay.
Yeah, which is here in the string. You can see how it comes back down.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
so they're bicones, and this would be like the bisolid that you were talking about. That's see how it has 12 spokes?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the solid. Whether there's one that exists or not, it's like the Trayon ray, but it has 12 centers, 12 edges.
Okay. This is going to drive you fucking wild. I love this. Robert Loves Pie. He diagrams compositions, and right here, these are dodecagons. This is the only solid that I could find that used dodecagons on the faces. And it's even better, it was diagrammed as a honeycomb already for me, so I don't have to diagram it, but I already do plan on diagramming it anyways. And the similarity between this, and you can kind of see how this dodecagon solid, dodecagon with the dodecagon faces, is like a cube octahedron. And then you can see the truncated octahedron right here with the yellow and green.
I can't. I see your face. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was like, you were describing too much without me seeing. So I realized. There we go. So now what are you saying?
Okay. So yeah, I found this online. I don't have to diagram it because I found it online. Yeah. But I do plan on diagramming it, and it shows the cube octahedron. So you can see this solid right here. It has a dodecagon face.
Yeah.
And if you were to connect that dodecagon face down to the center of the solid, you have a frustum. because the very center of that solid is the apex, you know, kind of
Yeah.
like if you go into a mirror room, like a mirror solid.
Yeah. It
Uh,
goes into itself.
yeah. Here, I'll pull one of those up because I have one straight. I just posted it, made with the black mirrors and the lights inside.
Oh yes.
It was
Gorgeous.
an icosahedron. It should be right underneath here. Yeah. Okay. Oh, and then this was a half truncated icosahedron, gorgeous near miss
Mm.
uh, Johnson solid. But yeah, this is a mirror solid, and you can see these with like mirror cubes or whatnot, and it shows a whole honeycomb, sort of. But the construct, like with the bow tie polyhedra, the very center of this does a reflection honeycomb, and it shows where the bow tie polyhedra are, it shows where the truncated octahedrons are, and it shows where this funky new dodecagon polygon that's very similar to the cube octahedron is.
Okay.
And so this allows the frustums in your diagrams to actually be dodecagonal in the, you know, the center, like the base of the pyramid is a dodecagon. And it's the only solid I could find like this.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
So I have to
Okay.
diagram it now, but I did, however, diagram a very similar honeycomb, which in that morphology that you saw, it shows how the truncated octahedrons grow into cube octahedrons or shrink into octahedrons.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of perfectly between and it uses bow tie polyhedra, which is gorgeous, but it's perfectly in between the cube octahedral and the truncated octahedral, which I showed in that first video.
You're way too fast with your knowledge on your
I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna pull it up.
Okay.
So this is the cube octahedral, and it uses cube octahedrons and octahedrons, which you can see in the beginning.
Yes.
The cube octahedrons there,
Mm-hmm.
and then as it's starting to turn, and it gets, there's the octahedrons, and you can see how it all fits together, space filling.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I move further into the, yeah, right about here. So this is the truncated octahedral honeycomb, and it's made out of one truncated octahedron. Now, this is made out of, it's like right between the two. You can see the truncated octahedrons, these yellow and green solids right here that my mouse is following. And then you have, this is very similar, this dodecagon solid, it's very similar to a cube octahedron, which is the red shape that I showed in my video.
Isn't the green and yellow ones cube octahedrons?
Truncated octahedrons.
Those aren't cube octahedrons? Oh no, because there's not triangles. Yeah, I see. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like an octahedron, then you can see how it's truncated. I actually did.
It confused me because I was gonna because my next shape that I'm gonna do is a cube octahedron, I think, for the bubble sculpting.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up a because I have done. You're gonna do a cube octahedron, a vector equilibrium.
Yes.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah, this shows how the octahedron can be truncated. Can you see my screen? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And you cut off this red section and it becomes a truncated octahedron, and then you cut off this green section, it becomes a cube octahedron. And yeah, you can see better there. And then this shows the flower of life lattice, or Kish hex tiling, yeah, which is hexagonal tiling or equilateral triangle tiling.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. So with Robert Love's Pi, his diagram with the bow tie polyhedra, we can really diagram those bipyramids where they have 12 spokes. And it's the first of the kind that has those 12 spokes. I know you sent some stuff. I'm going to try to pull that up.
Yeah. What about your lattice grid? The Brilliant. Are you going to pull up oh, yeah. Look at this. What do
Okay.
we got here, son?
This is the Dowdy network, and it's made with this is showing it as a cube octahedral. No, pardon me. Truncated octahedral, which means it's made out of only a truncated octahedron. So the solid that's between the octahedron and the cube octahedron.
Yeah.
In truncation, yeah. Now, a truncated octahedron, it has 6 square faces and 8 hexagonal faces. And this is showing the Dougherty set in relation to it. First there's circles, and then as octahedrons. See, they don't necessarily always have to be by 12 spoke, as you've shown your diagrams, changing in amount of spokes. But this is showing it with 4 spokes.
Yeah.
4 and 6, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, you'll have, it looks very Russellian, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and this is exactly what Hannah started doing when she was inspired with some of my work and Walter's work. She started getting into stuff like this, and the more you get into this, oh, wow, dude, these are...
Those are all octahedrons, and it's using your scaling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then these are hexagonal bipyramids, and again, using the same scaling, although I didn't grow it out far enough to show that this hexagonal scaling, to show it more intricately, but it would be too complex if I had.
Yeah, that's close to the Aurora star.
Yeah, and you can see the frustums in here, which is about to be showed, how your set fits inside of it, and it's a contained. So there's a word for this, but it's a fractal which has a limit. It's set at a limit, and then it infinitely progresses inwards.
So it's self-limiting. There's a self-limiting scale, or does it? It's
like a contained
loops.
Fractal.
Well, there's larger loops that reach out, but even though they're self-contained, they're self-referential. They're like quantized packets of I guess, for the lack of a better term, information. That's what I see it as. It's closed loop, and it's both closed and open loop.
Yeah.
It reaches out to the open scale by going out and in. The further you go in on the inner scale, you get to the out, and then you get to the outer scale, you get to the inner. Right. So it like loops back in on itself. Like
it's kind of like the
special relativity, like special relativity, or the Mandelbrot,
where it has the Mandelbrot as the whole set, and then you zoom in, and it starts breaking it down further and further inside.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what this kind of does. But it has a first term, which is, say that this octahedron, its diagonal was 1. Then the next one would be 0.5, and it keeps having and having. Of course, we've been over this, all the way to epsilon, and infinitesimal quantity, and you can diagram that linearly. But there's a parabola by which the function has its limit, and then starts to descend again, which it's not shown as a parabola here. I'm talking about the linear equation, but as a bipyramid, it just shows a sort of fractal that fills inside tighter and tighter inside this bipyramid, which is a square bipyramid. Yeah, and here you can see them in white. You can see the bipyramids clearly. Yeah, and that
was in the vector equilibrium at the end.
At the end,
that purple.
The purple is the truncated octahedron.
Oh, I got that confused again. Yeah, I'm not used to seeing the truncated octahedron.
That's cool. Yeah. Hexagon faces, 8 hexagons, 4 here, and then 4 hexagons on this side, and then 6 squares, 2 on top, 2 on the sides.
Yeah, I can make one of those too. I'd have to figure out. I want to make them hyperbolic, so I'd have to cut all the shapes correctly.
Oh, the wonderful thing about this solid, it wasn't quite with the truncated, with the truncated tetrahedron, but with the truncated octahedron, inside your Dowdy set, the circles, like if you took a sheet and you looked at this circle,
Mm-hmm.
it perfectly fit within the expanding circles, the hexagon and the square. Like the square was the smaller circle, and then the next concentric expansion was the hexagon. And I was like,
isn't that's how that's how octaves work. And you'll find the more you work with it, every single one of them fits inside of it. And that's why the Doherty set, for some reason, it's like a space filling algorithm for octaves and wave nesting and wave recursion and I don't know, all sorts of stuff. But that's just, the tip of the iceberg.
Is my screen sharing or is it showing my face?
I can see both, but yeah, your screen sharing.
Okay. Now.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay. So I'm a cupola. If you're familiar with what that is, it's like a geodesic dome.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a pentagon, equilateral triangles, and 5 squares. Ooh. And that's a pentagonal cupola. And there's many cupolas. This is like half a cube octahedron, it looks like.
Oh, dude, I've always wanted to get into building these.
And then this is a square cupola, and there's also bicupolas. Mm-hmm. So I have I have that pulled up. Yeah, here you can see this is a bicupola, and it looks similar to the cube octahedron, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's a triangular gyro bicupola. That's interesting.
Yeah. The names of these things get longer and longer.
I love it. And if they can, we need to grow this language. This language is explained so beautifully thus far from the research that I've been doing, but there's so many solids and so many constructs and things that are not explained.
What's that? Hey, say that top one right there. Gyro bass fast Jim. Come on, bro. Look at that shape.
Gyro by fastigium.
Gyro by fastigium. Okay, now that right there, click on that bad boy. Gyro by fastigium. let's okay, a Johnson solid.
Johnson solid, yeah. Okay.
Okay, what's a Johnson solid?
Johnson solids are solids that are composed out of regular polygons, and they're kind of how do I say this?
Johnson.
They're different
I can see it.
than
I can see it right here.
like they're altered Archimedean solids. Or altered Platonic solids.
Yeah, I think the best way that you explained it was the first way, and you can see the shapes right down here. They're all made with regular what?
Polygons, yeah.
Polygons, yes.
But not all polygons made with regular polygons are Johnson solids. There's other names. So I'm not quite entirely sure about the definition, but there's stuff going on there.
Dude, I'm making new shapes, bro, with these crystals. I wonder people are gonna be talking about these names. We got to give them good names, man.
Okay. Now, cupola, making solids with cupola. There's this gorgeous article I found on Wiki that shows the tetrahedral cupola, and then it moves to this is the rhombic cuboctahedron, and the next one also looks like a rhombic cuboctahedron, but with an octahedron in the center. And then it moves on, and you can see how the tiling goes from equilateral triangle with 3 squares and 3 triangles around it to a square with 4 squares and 4 triangles around it. Mm-hmm. Again, square and 4 triangles, 4 squares. A pentagon, 5 squares, 5 triangles. But then this is where it gets really interesting. And this is where I was coming, to a dead end when trying to find solids that were either bisected, were a dodecagon, or had dodecagon faces. And I found this, and I found it quite a while ago, actually, and it's rhombotrihexagonal tiling. I love that word. And it's similar to hexagonal tiling, Kish hex tile. Yes, Kish hex tile tiling. So, but here you can actually see it, and it's the only cupola out of all cupolas that are flat that use regular polygons. The only one. I'm going to pull up, if it allows me to share an image of this. Yeah, there you go. You can see it in full. And you can see the dodecagon, but they kind of like overlap, if you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about this being second dimensional only, and I said, there's got to be a way that can be third dimensional. Of course, not with cupola, but with other solids. And so going into the Dougherty set, which I'm going to have to drive this back into, but there's a way to, and there's not just one. I've discovered 2 ways to make this third dimensional. So you're using the wireframe, the PM 430 and 434 to all the different orthogonal projections to look at the solid. And this shows the wireframe, if you know what I'm saying, in parallel projection, and you can see that it's exactly the same tiling.
Wow.
And this is with, this is the cantic cubile. It's actually altered of it, but it's rhombic cuboctahedrons. It's half cubes. I'm going to see if I can speed this up.
The heck?
Yeah, so half cubes, and then the vector equilibrium cuboctahedrons. And it's a space-filling structure. It's a third-dimensional version of rhombotrihexagonal tiling. Try to say that.
Rhombotrihexagonal tiling.
Yeah, I love that word.
Rhombotrihexagonal tiling. Rhombotrihexagonal tiling.
It could be a wrap.
It is going to be a wrap now.
Yeah.
That's a wrap. I just saw you post this. This is gorgeous. There's a lot of reveals on this show today.
But that's not the only tiling that can be done in. You'll see here it uses those squares, the same squares. What the hell?
Dude, I love you for cutting these shapes in half and half tiling them, creating full space filling structures. These honeycombs, yeah, baby. Keep going.
This one has not been discovered, except for by me. I'm the first to discover it that I know of. I did a whole lot of research. And even this solid, if you see the yellow, red, or orange solids in there, they're a really weird hexagonal prism. And it's made out of regular polygons. It has, if I can say this correctly, 2 square faces, 2 hexagonal faces, and 8 equilateral triangle faces. And it's like I'm calling a hexagonal parallelohedron because it's like a hexagonal prism, but then it's been pulled and everything's parallel on it.
Yeah.
And I think that is like geometrically the best name for it in geometric lexicon. But here you can see it does the exact same tiling as the rhombotrihexagonal tiling when you look at it as a wireframe, which I believe this gets to, but it's showing, decomposing it and building it back up. And you can see these are truncated octahedrons. Again, this green solid I was showing you.
Uh-huh.
And then the hexagonal parallelohedrons. Yeah. And when you compose them together, it makes that same tiling. That rhombotrihexagonal tiling is an Archimedean tiling.
Okay. Now, some of these, what we do is this is crystallography. um, you know, studying what we're doing. Uh, and if you look into crystallography, it gets into morphologies,
Oh,
and that's what you talk
dude,
about a lot. So
crystals.
that's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if you've gotten into much of crystallography, because that's what it is that you're messing around with here.
Yes. Now, crystals, the craziest thing. Oh, I love it. You know, you'll take like a cubic honeycomb, regular cubic honeycomb, and you'll pull them one way and then push them in and truncate them and make them oblique and rhomboidal and then it and that's how crystals grow. They grow like that. They'll do all these morphings. I know in our other podcast we talked about the dodecahedron and the pyritohedron. And the pyritohedron, which is like a cube, and you start expanding through one function of morphogenesis on that cube, and it becomes a pyritohedron, and then it becomes a dodecahedron, and then it becomes a rhombic dodecahedron. And a pyritohedron is found in like fool's gold.
Okay.
Yeah,
Pyrite.
and yeah, iron pyrite.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, it's how crystals grow. They're brilliant.
The latest theories that are going around, the gentleman that I work with and see the pattern is talking about it. It has to do with it's Eugene Bagashov's theory. He's a gentleman that we've worked with through the Electric View. But Eugene proposes that there are it's our deep biosphere. There is creatures that are growing and like crystals that create and grow off of these thermal vents and deep into the thermal vents, and that's what's creating the earthquakes, is creatures, living creatures, and it's electric.
Thermodynamic, like creatures that can live in that hot lava all the way down in the bottom. What?
They're thermophiles or extremophiles, and they live down there. But he's taken it a step further and saying that the whole entirety of the displacement of a lot of the shelving is from these living creatures secreting themselves and growing and creating these, like, you got to get into it, dude. It's one of the most I guess disruptive theories out there. And whew, yeah, it's fun, and it gets right into this crystallography stuff that you're talking about. I'm talking about space filling, space packing. This is what fossils are, man. This is what sedimentary fractals, fossils, sedimentary rocks are. They crystallize. They turn from one substance or calcify into another, and sometimes they apparently are flash fossilized with electricity, which is a whole nother thing. And flash fossilization is also crystallization, but at an extremely rapid crystallizing period. So anyway, crystals. So to not make this episode go too much longer, let's stay directed and hop right into some more of these structures, these honeycombs, the fulcrum, what the fulcrum is, the centering. In your shapes, there's fulcrums that exist too. So there's many different fulcrums that can exist.
The center of each solid is a fulcrum in the Brilliant set. If there's a solid, the center of it is the fulcrum, and
And it grows out of that.
yeah, from there the frustums expand.
Okay, so I see what your shapes are doing, and I see what my shapes are doing. Now I'm wondering if they can come together.
Oh, it's the same mechanic. The whole
Yeah,
thing,
right.
absolutely.
Now I'm wondering if if you can rotate these and spin these wheels and get all of these wheels gyroscopically spinning and see what would happen. Like on a GIF, you know how GIFs, you start spinning one and then it spins the next one and then it spins the next one and then you show that the whole thing's gears, because it's all gears. It's gyroscopic. And this is what Russell was talking about with the gyroscopic principle of understanding what light is. And I think that's why we started building structures like the Large Hadron Collider.
I know Henry Sugarman is looking into how gears work. You might want to message him on that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's the stuff he's doing with gears is absolutely incredible. And if you're looking to experiment with this in like higher dimensions and how it might fold in and out of itself in like kaleidoscopic higher dimension functions, Brant Hinderman is another great person.
He just hit me up today.
Really?
Yeah, that's gonna be cool. Yeah, he hit me up and said that he's interested in the museum idea. I got to get a jump on that museum, and tomorrow I'm going to be calling a bunch of places out there to see what I can get set up.
How long have you been talking with Brant?
I don't even know. I thought it was based off of a message from you, but it must have been from me.
Okay, because I thought I introduced you to him.
Yeah, it was ever since you. If I send him a message, it was probably, I don't even know. I have to go look at it. I haven't even read the message yet. I just looked at the first couple of words. It was talking about a museum.
Oh yeah,
so maybe it was a proposition that I sent him. But anyway, so this is what we were looking at right there with the light sculpture that I had in my hand. This is the same thing. You have the larger circle to the right, and you have the lesser circle to the left, the smaller one. Yep, that's the smaller one, the bicone or whatever you want to call it, bipyramid.
So smaller ones are to the left and larger ones are to the right.
Well, I guess, yeah, we could just talk about it as a series of particles that are emitted, or just proton radiation, and how it comes off of every atom and how it unfolds and turns into these little tiny, this could be the 0 point line, or what Ken Wheeler refers to it as the dielectric inertial plane. And it's ultimately the same exact thing as, if you want to scale back out, the whole entire fulcrum. The whole entire fulcrum is the exact same thing as the center point. That center point is the fulcrum that you're looking at down that line. All 12 of these radial spokes coming out of the center there are the exact same thing as looking right down the center of it. And it's another way of looking at a Birkeland current. If you want to subdivide a Birkeland current into these space filling units, or this honeycomb, that's why the top of,
oh, my bad.
That's all right. That's why the top of Saturn or Jupiter, one of the two, I forget. My bad. I think, it's Saturn, has a hexagon on the top of it.
Yes. Yeah.
And it has a perpetual hexagon in the storm, because there's counter rotating filaments and counter-rotating cyclones.
Yeah, Terrence Howard was showing how Saturn was made out of vortex shears from the center, and he
Yeah,
made a whole physics model on Saturn showing the hexagonal rings.
he did, yes. And he was working with Chris Monk-Selly, another gentleman that we were working with, and uh, and yeah, it, everything can be created with vortexture. Everything can be created with vortices because it is the whole entirety of everything can be created with a vertical coordinate system, and you could use the Doherty set to do it. And you can get scale relativity, and you can get a scale to base things off of, to
Dude,
base.
this is gorgeous. I see you close the gap. Is this redone? Yeah, you close the gap.
It's the same one. It's just 6 instead of 12.
Okay. Yeah, because I was looking at this recently and I saw that the gap wasn't there like the ones that you had shown that you had given to me.
The gap becomes closed when they pinch. It's the kissing of the spheres that produces the oil of the dielectric inertial plane, which secretes us as humans. We
I
come
love
out of
that
the pinch.
terminology.
And you can see where the kissing of the spheres is. It's inside of the all along this axis here. The kissing of the spheres, when they touch, when they pinch, that's where the magic happens. And there, right at that point, is also where the,
That's the kissing.
people would consider it in modern day mainstream physics as the Planck particle, or the Higgs particle, where
The
they
E8.
kiss, where they kiss.
Oh,
Yeah, there's a point right there, and it's a point where all information in the entire stream has to pass through. There's certain points inside of the stream where everything in the entirety, all information. See how it's wrapped up into bundles?
yeah.
If you scroll out, the whole Doherty set here is wrapped up into bundles all of a sudden. It's no longer confused or disorganized spheres. It's packeted into perfect bundles based off of 12 spoked units. Now, it simplifies itself because it naturally creates that pattern when you put the 12 spokes on it. I myself have a quote. If I could, I'm not going to share my screen. You keep sharing yours, and
Okay.
I'm just going to read because when I first came across this information, when the visions came to me, I couldn't find any information to satisfy or satiate my palate. I couldn't find anywhere. So I got into some Bucky. Buckminster Fuller was great and always is and will always be great. So I was looking through Synergetics, his book, Explorations in the Geometry of Thinking, and on page 356 about structure, which is 640.42, it goes on and it starts talking about spokes and structure and stability and transitional spokes. And anyway, so what it says here is, he says, from mathematical probing of generalized principles and experimentally proven knowledge governing the tensional integrity of the wire wheel, we discover that 12 is the minimal number of spokes necessary for the wire wheel stability. And then it says go on to 12 universal degrees of freedom. So I looked up 12degreesoffreedom.org, and which is cool. And it starts talking about A system is the first subdivision of universe. It divides all the universe into 6 parts. First, all the universal events occurring geometrically outside the system. Second, all the universal events occurring geometrically inside the system. Third, all the universal events occurring non-simultaneously, remotely, and unrelated prior to the system's event. Fourth, the universe events occurring non-simultaneously, remotely. Then it goes on from there. And I just love the way how he talks and breaks stuff up. And in this episode, we wanted to talk about 6 sexagesimal system, 12, and we're getting into it. So I just wanted to bring up a little bit of Bucky there.
Oh, tensegrity, your dodecahedrons are all based on this tensegrity. Yeah?
The Doherty set, my file for everything that I've ever made in the Doherty set is titled IVM. IVM is short for isotropic vector matrix. So the whole entire thing can be made.
Truncated, pardon me, the tetraoctahedral honeycomb. That's what it's called. The isotropic vector matrix or vector matrix is only a 64 tetrahedron grid.
Yeah, it doesn't get any bigger or smaller. No. It can keep going, right?
No, it stops at 64 tetrahedrons.
Oh, okay.
Whereas the actual honeycomb is called the tetraoctahedral honeycomb.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Tetraoctatrus. Yeah, there was another name that another guy was called it.
Oh, the buckyball?
Conrad Foxman, or I can't remember his name. He was talking about it.
Okay. I've been noticing that the buckyball was the truncated icosahedron, and then which is interesting how it was named the buckyball, and then you look at Michael Evans' work and it's named the Mickey ball.
Yeah, there's a lot of switcheroo that's always been going on with all of these shapes and everything in history.
Yeah.
I mean, now we've taken everything and everything that there is, and we call it Amazon or Google, or what are those companies? Amazon it's not a bookstore, it's a grocery store, it's everything, it's all sorts of stuff. So they did what China was doing a long time ago. Like, I see, like, what are those companies, those electric companies where they just kept swallowing each other, Tobashi and like Zenith and all these other companies, and then all of a sudden Samsung came out on the top. Samsung made it.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay, I was trying to pull up the excavated tetrahedron, but even Wiki's not so familiar with it. And I like the excavated cuboctahedron should come up right away. No, it doesn't. Or even hopefully the octahedron. Anyhow. Oh yeah. Well, here's an excavated octahedron. But you can excavate a tetrahedron in the same way, and this may not be by spocations, but a excavated tetrahedron has 12 faces, so it's dodeca, but instead of gonal, it's hedral, which means faces.
So let's tell the public why we care about this stuff. Why does this matter?
Oh my. When we can revolutionize and learn that, like, for example, with microbiology, they're looking at this stuff as if it's messy, as if it's absurd, it's illogical. No. You look at
There's a pattern, a
centrioles.
design. Yeah, there's a design to it. There's a pattern.
Yeah, you know the centrioles that pull your genetic code apart.
Hmm.
Those centrioles they're like scutoids, and yeah, I'll pull up a scutoid. Scutoid, it should come up under that. Yeah, and they're nonagonal, so they have 9 sides, and they're a
This is thank you. See, this is there's your frustrum. Okay, see you're into biological speak. See, this is what I'm talking about. I use biology to name my stuff too, and I start talking all these weird terms, and nobody knows what I'm talking about.
pardon me, it's not a scutoid. It's actually but it does bend in at the end, so it's like a frustrum.
Okay.
But the apex is truncated as well.
Uh-huh.
Now, yeah, that's look at that geometry. That's
Mhm.
a notagon with 27, yeah, spokes, cylindrical spokes that go down it, and you
Yes.
have 2 of these together, like that, and you can see them right here. And what they do, and you have 2 of those here and 2 of those here, and you have a cell, and it starts, and pardon me, one of them here, they split, and the other one here, and they pull your genetic fibers apart. All that magnetic properties and the reasons these are nonagons. Or you look at, like, as I was saying before with capsids, Goldberg solids. So this is a Goldberg solid. And, if we get into the geometry of nature and understanding it, we can revolutionize nanotechnology. We can revolutionize how we communicate. Imagine a future where the way we communicate isn't through electromagnetic frequencies that are pulsing and harming to our body, but rather we communicate through, like, electron superpositioning or quantum entanglement.
Or our clothes with like different fibers of the future.
Yeah, stretching honeycombs sort of stuff. Yeah, we can
Yeah,
make clothes out of honeycombs.
make electricity that make clothing that's piezoelectric, and it stretches as you move, and it gives you energy.
Oh, okay. Kind of like what
It
w-
uses
w-
static electricity and gives it to you.
dude, you know that movie, the Black Panther, where he had that suit?
And it gets charged.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
charges up.
Dude, this is an old idea. It's not new. All
Okay.
suits charge you up. It's like Mega Man.
No, this is a virus. This
Yeah, viruses are gorgeous. Now this is see. Oh, look at MC Escher up in that heezy right there, dude.
Oh yeah. Now these are Goldberg solids, and I might as well go ahead and pull up the wick because they'll dig into it. Yeah, and here you can see how the Goldbergs. So they're like truncated icosahedrons, but they have an alternated tiling with them with hexagons, and they can expand. They can become larger and smaller. And this is like the strict fashion, and this is the spherical projection, but these are regular hexagons.
Mm-hmm.
And
So you're talking about viruses. We see flowers. We see marine life. We see genetic code.
yeah,
Everything has geometry to it. So our eyes are used to looking for geometry. It's our umwelt, our worldview, our look, our outlook on life is all based on these geometries, how we interpret these geometries. Now, we've all been duped and had the wool pulled over our eyes, unfortunately, and we are very depressed as a nation, and I've been wanting to get into the healing aspects of everything. If it can't heal, then I don't want to deal with it right now.
So you're familiar with Rife?
Yes, Wilhelm
How
Reich.
like our cells require like what was it, 50 hertz of from the mitochondria to be able to reproduce cells and split in like mitosis. If you, I'm not sure if I'm saying this right, but do you have any clue what I'm talking about?
Yes, Wilhelm Reich.
Okay.
Yeah, he's I forget where he's from exactly. Maybe Austrian inventor. But yeah, he came up with that oscillation thing, the chair that you sit in, and people got healed from cancer, and a lot of patients that were terminal got healed by sitting in this chair. And Eric Dollard successfully made one, and I was going to go out there this last year and go out there and hang out with that whole crew. And
Rife Machine.
Yeah, Rife Machine. And Ken Wheeler, I heard, was out there. And these are some of the people that that are like OGs, that are like anarchists, electrical engineer / anarchist / genius. They're hard to deal with, their personalities sometimes, some people say, but you know, people are who they are, and you go and you show them who you are, and you say what's up. And that's about all we can do, have a conversation about it, right? So I go out and I meet people and I talk to them, and I try to meet the individuals that I really need to meet in person. I fly there because it's urgent. I've only had to fly once, but I'm looking like I'm having to fly. I really have to meet 2 people in person. And I will say their names: Jeffrey West and Vladimir Ginsburg.
All right.
They're both in the United States, and I'm excited to meet them. Anyway, I digress too much. So Brighton, see, that's why I don't talk. Keep going, Brighton. No, you're good. Keep going. Hit it.
Okay.
Hit it, son.
All right. Your whole tiling, it can be done. I'm not sure if they're. See, I was trying to research this earlier about a month ago, and I never really got to figuring out what they were called. They're like Wolfram tiling solids. Wolfram tiling, but it's where you take like a polygon, like a dodecagon, and you cut it in a certain fashion, and then you can retile it into a different polygon. And here, this person, they take a dodecagon and they cut it out, these different sections, and this isn't quite this same, well, but it is very similar. And yeah, there you have a cube. And you can do that with your whole tiling, not cube, square, but you can do this with your whole tiling, and, change, how it all fits together in different components and look at it in component sections. Also, I don't know if you've ever seen before, but like the cross, the cross of Christ, if you look at it as a second dimensional polygon, it's a 12-sided polygon. And then you look into like the religious aspect with right here, Salvador Dali's let me see if I can pull up this image. Okay, yeah, so this is the crucifixion let's get the right name, but it's made by Salvador Dali, and it's the crucifixion corpus hypocubus. And it takes a hypocube and it shows Christ on the hypocube being crucified.
But it's weird. It's weird the way he's hung.
Oh yeah.
Like, look at that.
Well, I'm going to pull up something that it blew my mind when I put it all together, which this was like 2 years ago. I finally put this stuff together, and I know I sent you a dodecagon. Was that on the phone? Shoot, if that was on the phone. No, no, it should be up here. Yes, okay. Oh, no, it should be up here. Yes, bingo. Okay. So this isn't quite I don't know who made this piece, but if you can see how it's made out of 5 cubes, and it's a dodecahedron around 5 cubes. But if you look at like one of those cubes, like the green one, which you can see quite clearly, uh,
Mm.
and you unfold it, you unfold a cube. So unfolded cube, yeah, right here, and that's the cross, the 12-sided polygon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. You can
Oh
see it.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, you if you extend these kind of like housetop ends to each one of those square faces, and then you fold it up, it becomes a dodecahedron. And I think Salvador Dali, realized this when he made his Last Supper, because this in the background is a dodecahedron. It's like the 12 apostles.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I know that
And the center is Christ as 0, which is the fulcrum that we're talking about today.
oh yeah.
Because people touch on it a little bit. We're talking about 12 and we're hitting it hard, but really it's 13. And because there's for every Christed figure, there's the 13th, or you know what I mean.
Oh, that's the sacred
center
word.
Even the center of the rim and the spokes is the 13th. It's the center point, the central center point.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like the 13th apex.
Mm-hmm.
Now with this,
I was enjoying that today, building these dodecahedrons.
yeah.
They got 12 sides or 12 faces. There's 12 faces on a dodecahedron. So I had to cut 12 individual. I'm like, oh yeah, this is fun. The whole Doherty set is 12. And
Oh yeah. No, it can totally be involved with that. Absolutely. I actually diagrammed a dodecahedron where instead of using pentagons, the faces were dodecagons. And I diagrammed the bipyramids and then the extension. And it was so funky, the gaps between, and how they were like tetrahedral going inwards. Mm-hmm. So instead of like a pentagon face, it would be a dodecagon, and then it would meet at some point on all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the light sculpture that I made.
Yeah. Let's see if you want me to pull that up right now.
Well, that's what you were just talking about, and it reminded me of the shape, and yeah, it'd be cool to see that shape.
Okay. Now, you're familiar how Leonardo da Vinci, he diagrammed the... Should I pull it up on your main page?
From what? The bubble sculpting?
Yeah.
Right, I don't care what you pull up.
Okay. Yeah, you're familiar with how Leonardo da Vinci, he put a dodecagon right above on Christ's head, the head of Christ, on that like top rim. And he also put the Thelma sigil, which is a unicrucial hexagon, 2 of them, right above Christ's head. And in the Last Supper, the painting of the Last Supper. Yeah, so there's definitely a relation between the dodecagon, 12 disciples, the dodecahedron, or whatever is going on there.
Yeah, what do you think of these kinetic sculptures that I'm making? That
is tensegrity. You're having oh my, and you're having all this anything that's going through it is bouncing, and oh my, I went to the wrong page. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's have you seen Bucky's video where he shows like a ball that he's made and he throws it on the ground and it's made out of like a certain floss that they use for the teeth and then metal pipes and it bounces like a basketball.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
tensegrity.
yeah, and that's what this
That's
is here.
it's similar to tensegrity. I guess it would be tensegrity. Yeah, it is tensegrity. Um, I never even thought of it like that because it's all tension based.
Yeah, and then here we have the hyperbolic cube and the hyperbolic dodecahedron, two things we've been talking about on this podcast. Oh yeah.
Bubble sculpting. So yeah, I want to do individual episodes of each one of these little shapes, just little shorts. But
If those were they're twerking solids.
yeah, they are. It's a turtle. It's turtle twerk.
Yeah.
It's a sea turtle, really.
If those were people, they would be millennials.
So
Yeah.
if you go back to the other one, it's really sensitive.
The other one.
Oh
The
no, it's fine.
the other this video.
Yeah, this newest one that I created that today. So I guess this is part of the reveal video.
And are you shaking it underneath or have a speaker underneath or what's going on?
I'm shaking it underneath. But a speaker would do the same thing if I were to have it by it.
Yeah.
You can blow on it, you can walk by it, and this sucker moves. But I was surprised that the electricity on my hand pulled it and moved it towards me,
Oh,
and
nice.
that's what I'm trying to show here. But it was hard to try to get a video. But yeah, that's a dodecahedron itself, and I can pull it in the core. I can pull the core in and
Excavate it.
weld it. Yeah, and excavate. So it would be an excavated
Dodecahedron.
dodecahedron. Hyperbolic.
Hyperbolic, yeah.
Yeah. As excavated dodecahedron. Yeah.
And that's exactly the same as a hyperbolic excavated hexacantahedron, which is strange how they both relate like that.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with what solid that is? The orange one I was showing in some of our previous talks. It was kind of fits within the dodecahedron. Yeah, this solid right here.
I'm gonna send you a picture right now of a hypercube.
Okay.
I put red yarn on it, like I said I was gonna, and I took a couple of pics. If you want to pull the pictures back up, and then we'll.
I love this. Is this the hammer that you gave me? Let me see. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I have that right here. I can pull that right up. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was really happy with the way that one turned out. It's rare that it comes out that good, and that one's like one of my favorite that I've done on a hammer.
Yeah, this is incredible.
All right.
And there's no way to it, like if you put I don't know, if you like sprinkled gunpowder or something or along a seam, you don't think it would burn that direction? You could like control it somewhat?
Oh yeah, there's ways I can control it. I like seeing the natural way though.
Okay.
So yeah, for lack of better time, let's cruise through these pictures. Finish up with what you got to say. We'll peace out to the viewers.
Oh yes, this is a slightly excavated dodecahedron.
I think it's pollen. I'm
It's
pretty
pollen.
sure it's a pollen molecule.
And there's a cell like inside of us that looks exactly like this. I can't remember what it's called right now. Oh yeah, and see, oh yeah. Okay, well I'm gonna. Wow, you sent a lot of good stuff.
So that's what I was talking about as far as it being a hypercube. You can see the outer cube and then it going into the inner cube.
Oh yeah. No, I totally see. You have two cubes here. Are you going to do the interior one with red yarn as well?
I can't get into the interior one. I could highlight it with something, but I'm gonna
Fine.
cut that yarn off. I like the shape without it.
No, yeah, okay.
Go ahead through some other photos, please.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
There you go. That was the angle.
Yeah. Gorgeous. And then there's
Yeah,
your dodecahedron.
yeah, just more photos of that. That's the
Oh,
one
this
that
is
I
the
haven't
new
showed
one?
you. Yeah,
And this hasn't been posted anywhere.
yeah.
Oh, wow, this is yeah, and you're seeing the rouleau, like the roulex, because it's inverse of rouleau triangle right up here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. Wow.
That's the
Okay.
same one.
Yep.
There it is again.
I'm seeing these cutouts below. Gorgeous.
Yeah, that's what they're made out of.
Yes, this is exactly what I was talking about.
Nice.
Isn't this inside the body or human body? I
That
don't
might be
know.
that might be pollen. I forget. I don't know.
Okay,
The other one was pollen, I think, and this is I don't know what this is.
I think this is the one. There's like some um I don't even know what it's called, but there's something like inside our body that is similar to that. There's and it's like an indented dodecahedron, and it's very interesting. If you like, if you create an uh I stellated great icosahedrodecahedron.
Look
It,
at the look at the lines on this.
yeah,
The lines aren't right on. They're making that weird shape. You see that shape it's making?
how they dent in.
The faces.
Yeah, yeah.
The faces of those are off the center, off of the line of the points. You know what I mean? It's a
Very,
skewed. It's a skewed. It's creating that weird trapezoid kind of shape.
oh yeah.
That might be interesting nesting right there.
Oh yeah, that could be in the Dowdy set.
Or
It's
just I
kind of
don't know.
off.
It could be somewhere.
Yes, as I was saying, there's a way to, and I actually composed this, and it has like a slightly indented signature, but
Mhm.
it's in very significant solids. As I was saying, the stellated great icosahedrodecahedron, and then you put the icosahedrodecahedron inside of it, and then you truncate, well, not truncate, you draw some lines in to where the center face of like the icosahedrodecahedron is, and it makes this just that slight little, you know, variant sort of thing where it bends in slightly because that's not flat. That's not completely flat.
Right. The pyramid does that. The Great Pyramid does that too.
Yeah, yeah, and that's that's a hell of a mystery.
Well, it's that's when I made that shape. This is what I thought of the shape that's really um what is it?
Aren't these found in like a pyramid that's deep, like that was covered by all sorts of dirt and some flood?
They're Roman.
Oh, these are the Roman ones. Okay.
Yeah, they're found. I think all over, just like the ground and all over different places.
I thought we were talking about the Peruvian. I was thinking, was it Peruvian or Malaysian or I'm not
I
entirely sure, but yeah, these are Roman.
I
Okay.
don't even know. I don't even know. They. I'm pretty sure they're the ones that were found. Uh, there's but they're mysterious. Nobody knows what they're for. Still, some people hypothesize that that was a game and it was a toy for children. But
It could be.
when I was cutting out that solid today, that's the shape that it reminded me of because it's all made with. Here, I'll flash it on the screen real quick. I'll do a I just got my dog up here, so let me get the that's right here. Ugh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's made out of, dude. 12 of those makes the Doherty dodeca, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. That really, really sensitive shape.
Yeah.
I gotta get
All right.
the doggy back in the photo here. Come on, Bailey.
Hey, Pop.
Good girl. Good girl.
What kind of dog is she?
This is German Shepherd, pit bull mix. German Shepherd.
Oh my. And these are, yeah, this is nature again. This is a on the tip of my tongue, sea urchin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sea
Oh,
urchins. They're the most gorgeous thing in the world, man. I'll tell you what. Look at that geometry. Zoom in on that, baby.
those look like nipples right there. Some funky
Oh,
sea nipples, mermaid nipples.
so beautiful.
Oh yeah. Wow.
That's where the spikes come out and they move around. Those are mobile nipples. They move around.
uh,
Like eyeballs, moving eyeballs.
and the gyroscope. Okay.
But anyway,
Salvador Dali.
so yeah, finish it up. Show us what you got, son, and let's close it out. So we
Oh,
don't lose the viewers.
okay. Some other time I'm gonna have to pull up the 120 cell. It might even be here. 120 cell dodecahedron. Is by, if I can remember, yes, okay.
Mm.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna go ahead and speed this up, but this is absolutely incredible. And it takes a dodecahedron. Well, you know, that's the polytope. It takes a dodecahedron, you know, pentagon, dodecahedron, and then it takes 10 of those, and you can see how they come together.
Come together.
And then it puts 50 of them in total, right? Yeah, no, 60, because the one in the center as well. And then that looks like a centriole. You know what I'm saying? The nonagon thing that I was telling you about, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's different.
Oh my
That's a dodecahedron. They all fold together, and this is actually hyperdimensional right now.
Dang.
And then that's it's like a Mobius. We're looking inside of it, and this is higher dimensional geometry. Absolutely incredible. Yeah. So that's something. That's the 120 cell. Absolutely. Yeah. And then there's like tiling that can be done. This is a new form of tiling. And I haven't seen anybody talk about what it is, but I've done it with octagons, heptagons, nonagons, you know, 13-sided polygons. This is a dodecagon. And it uses 2 tiles. That's it. And it's infinite. Second dimensional, but it is 2 rhombus tiles.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know, you can do magnetic polarity devices with this sort of stuff. But yeah,
Beautiful.
it was just crazy to see how this stuff came together. The amount of things you can do with a dodecagon is absurd, but something that keeps being evident with it is that it keeps appearing in the second dimension a lot more than it does in any higher dimensions, the usages of it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think that is what I have gathered today to share.
Okay. You didn't want to get into any of the Brilliant Or you're not ready to release some of that?
Oh, I already did
Oh, I
at the
thought that
beginning
that
of
was
this.
I thought that that was the lines that you have that looks like I didn't see you get much into that.
This was the brilliant in particular when you saw how these morphed right here with the bipyramidal polarization, which is coming right up. Yeah, right here.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what the brilliant set is. And this is only one set out of the whole brilliant set.
I
But
guess I was confused with the one that you have. You have lines that look like my lines in the pictures, the 12 uh spokes
the
and
quasi
rims.
crystal, you're talking about my quasi crystal that looks like your thing.
Yeah.
That is that's something different than the brilliant set. The brilliant set
Oh,
is the study of how honeycombs morph between one another.
okay. Okay. See, I got them mixed up, and that's what I was aiming at getting at. But either way, we got into uh that. D- did you want to touch on that quasi crystal,
Uh,
or is
yeah,
that?
I mean it's all about the dodecagon. I mean, it puts together so many different functions of tiling with the dodecagon. I might as well pull it up.
Yeah.
Okay. I bet the best way to do that is to just go in my images because otherwise it's going to take a while to pull up. Yeah, right here. Okay.
Yeah. See, this is what I wanted to get into also along and how you have them. I've seen them where yeah, this is, can you explain what this is?
So it takes tiling structures, for example, like the rhomboid trihexagonal tiling that we started at the first beginning of this video, and among other tilings that use dodecagons, and it puts them overlapping together, and then it tessellates it throughout the whole structure. And I think that if you were to look at, I don't know what metal alloy this would be, but it looks like an electron dispersion field with Clay Taylor's diagrams of the icosahedron dispersion field. It's very similar. Now, diagramming this in terms of a polyhedron would be different because polyhedron is dodecagonal in the center. So this is purely second dimensional as a quasi-crystal, which is strange. Either that or it has to be, higher than the third. So like fourth, fifth, sixth, But I'm talking about it as a higher structure, higher dimensional structure.
Mm-hmm.
But the tiling that you're seeing now is second dimensional, and it shows, so same as the Dougherty set, from any point in certain, we can diagram kind of how sound would work, or a field. Like if you're inside of imagine being inside of a magma bubble where it's expanding and there's all these air and thermite activity inside that bubble. And what's going on is, the vibrations from the thermodynamics moving around all these particles. There's actually a geometric way in which they're moving around that cause crystals to grow in patterns like these.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of, I don't know if you've heard of, if I can say it correctly, like the eye in a chicken, its retina. They're recently discovering that it's a certain type of tiling, which is a disordered hyperuniformity. Strangest word, isn't that?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a certain tiling where I'm even not entirely sure, but like if you draw a circle around where one of the key particles are, or the sensors on the eye, it's a certain distance away from the other type of sensor. And it's a tiling where they have like circumpunct distances, concentric distances away from each other, but it's completely disordered. But there's a uniformity in it with it is completely aperiodic, if I put it that way. A tiling that's aperiodic, but there's some form of uniformity to it, because otherwise it couldn't function in that gorgeous parameter where it keeps using similar polygons. And a lot of crystals are using the same sort of constructs. Even this one, it's similar to, it is aperiodic. It uses a lot of periodic structures within it, but overall it's aperiodic.
Okay.
And it is a fractal.
Mm-hmm.
As I was saying, the center is not just in the center, it's in many places.
I'll have to track down that one that I'm talking about exactly. But yeah, it reminds me of some of the stuff that we talked about today. But this is gorgeous. This is beautiful. And, I can just see this playing out, zooming in and out with the music starting right about now. You and me saying peace, saying goodbye to the world. Thank you for watching. Appreciate you watching the Buddy of Brighton show, Brighton Buddy show. We're here to brighten your day and your night with new geometry and your eyeballs. Thanks, gentlemen. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, ladies. It was
Show
wonderful.
your kids. Sometimes it's appropriate, sometimes it's not. We got dogs, we got cuddly fun things, we got toys. And seriously, this is something I have children's books that I'm writing and coming out with. So we got those coming up, and I got my book coming up. And my book, I haven't released the title or the name of it yet, but it's going to be fun. So keep a lookout. Brighton's going to keep doing what he does as being amazing and creating all of these geometries for us to enjoy. We got reveals on every one of our show, and I think that's the way that we can keep them coming back, is keep revealing new stuff. So you and me create new stuff constantly. We're pretty prolific. So in order to do new reveals every show, it's not going to be a problem for us. So, but we do usually do more than one. We've had like 2 or 3 or 4 on this one.
Yeah.
So we'll continue to pack them out and put them out there for everybody to see. So thank you for participating, world.
All right. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Buddy.
Thank you, Brighton. And thank you, Bailey.
Is this good night?
Good night, brother. Peace.
Good night.
There you have it. Episode 3, Season 1. Brighton and Buddy talking about the Fulcrum, the Center, 0. Brighton Buddy Show is a Love is Watching production. Love is Watching, thank you for doing that. A lot of exciting guests lined up for 2020 and coming up here for the end of 2019. Our next episode is The Helix, or we might have a 3-part episode. Executive producers for the Brighton Buddy Show are Brighton Cotter and Buddy James.